I'm incredibly humbled by this, to know that you get the opportunity to lead an organization that has tremendous history, an organization that's had tremendous success on the field and in this community.
I think I lost myself in his eyes. Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name is Dan Barreiro, joined by Justin Gaard and Lori Fisher. Will get us all started. She's already giggling.
She's giggling. She's already
tries
swooning.
to introduce our first topic.
You're not going to get through this one.
I'm going to try. We're gonna do it together.
If we show another Kevin O'Connell picture, it's over for you.
Okay, let's move on. Vikings fans meet their new coach, Kevin O'Connell. He held a news conference on Thursday, just days after winning the Super Bowl as the now former Rams offensive coordinator. He says he's excited to get going. He likes the word consistency. I did notice that. That stands out. And Dan, you spoke with the coach on your radio show last night. Did he win you over? Because I feel like he did. I got that vibe.
What a question.
Here's what I tend to do with the introductory interview. I mean, I'm not going to go Mike Wallace on the bit. Nothing has happened yet. You want to give a guy a chance, and I enjoyed talking with him. He's very personable. You mentioned one of the C's. There's 5 of them.
Yep.
Let me read them because I'm going to I can't memorize them. Communication.
Yep.
Consistency.
2.
Collaboration. Connectivity.
It's a big one.
And culture. I think those are the 5 C's that we're going to pay attention to. And look, I've mocked some of these buzzwords. I will continue to mock them. He tried to say last night or yesterday, right, that look, I know these words get repeated, but they mean something to me. They're about my approach. And that may all well be the case. But man, oh man, it was on sensory overload yesterday when it comes to the 5 C's.
Well, the bingo card was full.
Yeah.
With collaboration, with culture, with partner. That one feels like it should start with a C, but it doesn't. We're going to have couple. Because when we're talking about Cam and KOC now, they're the couple that's going to lead this Vikings organization to whatever step.
They're partners for sure.
Partners for sure. Nothing like the honeymoon period. By the way, I like this part. No jersey, just a helmet. Then the Wilfs got out of the way. That was great. We want to hear from the new guys. We've heard enough from the Wilfs. It was tremendous. Nothing like the honeymoon period, right? Everybody loved it, said all the right things, said a lot of good things and cool things about the offense that he wants to run, used the right football terminology, right, to get those people going as well, talking about different fronts and angles and mixing things up. And then he talked about making sure everybody liked each other, which is a clear departure from what they just had. It used to be, Dan, you would do opposites of if it's a defensive coach, then you go to an offensive coach and vice versa. Now you're going from tough guy to the guy that wants to make sure everybody's getting along, which, by the way, I don't think is the worst strategy in the world, but it does get a little cute at times.
Well,
but opening day, exactly what you thought it was going to be.
Remember, though, that's also not new because if you go back through several Vikings coaching changes, that's one of the other contrasts. We go from the so-called hardcore coach, disciplinarian, to the players coach. Leslie Frazier is a good example of that. And we're all going to be happier if we're working together and working for the coach. What my first impressions, for whatever they're worth, is from an X's and O's standpoint, this guy's got it.
He's smart.
I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I think there's every reason to believe in what he's been brought up in and what he already knows. He's going to be fine there. And it is going to be helpful to get, I think, a fresh, objective look at all these pieces and the way things have been done on the field. I think the challenge, and this is the part that's unknowable, is how much is he going to be smiling if the Vikings or when the Vikings lose 3 out of 4.
And
the questions are coming at him hard and fast. And Cousins isn't looking any better than he did
30
before.
seconds.
How does he handle those things? That's the great unknown from coordinator to head coach when you're the one called on the carpet and you're the one who has to get a team through a crisis.
Right.
If you can do it, you got something. But there's no guarantees, and the only way we'll find out is when it happens.
Big difference from that, from the chair he was just in to the chair he's in now in 100%. That regard. It's a lot easier to coach. And even bigger difference from sideline reporter on the San Diego State Radio Network, which is what he was doing like 10 minutes ago. We have a commodities trader.
Which has inspired you.
It's inspired me to take a fresh look at everything and maybe find new partners, maybe collaborate with other people, find a new culture. I don't know. But we have a commodities trader in the front office and a sideline reporter as head coach.
Lori, quick question for you. Is there any
put me on the spot.
Is there any chance that we can stop the objectification?
Oh, I agree.
Just let the man coach football.
I agree with you.
Let the man coach football.
Stop talking about his looks and see what he can do on the field.
Yes, he's a person.
He's got a mind, Lori.
He does. Keep your eyes up.
Hey, I'm not part of it.
Oh, of course.
Leave me out of this.
Yeah, right.
At the top, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. The quarterback topic did come up, and Cousins' future with the team. O'Connell says Cousins is under contract, and he's excited to coach him. He also was asked about similarities between Cousins and Rams QB Matthew Stafford. O'Connell said they were both elite throwers and that Cousins is incredibly accurate and that the Vikings will build their offense to maximize what Kirk does best, Dan.
Well, it's the $64,000 question, no doubt. And it's interesting because he was very careful in his language on Cousins when he was asked at the presser. And I even asked him about it because the language, as I recall, that he uses, I anticipate Kirk being our quarterback, which is a very careful way to put it. And sometimes we overreact to the language. But I asked him it directly, and he never really – he gave a nice long answer to my nice long question. But at the end of it, I'm still not convinced that we know for sure that he said he never flat out said, let's stop with the nonsense. Kirk Cousins will be the starting quarterback for our opening game, which you could do. He doesn't have to do it.
Right.
But what it tells me is, and this is the way to me it should be, that their eyes are still open, their minds are open to any number of possibilities depending on a number of factors around them.
Well, you know he knew that question was coming.
Yes.
So anything he said on the private jet ride from Los Angeles to Egan a couple of nights ago, there was no accident what he said yesterday, right? And that's really the 6th and 7th C of this whole thing, Cousins' contract. I think
conundrum.
Conundrum. You can make it an 8th. I think he's perfectly fine coaching Kirk Cousins next season. Does he think Kirk Cousins can win him a Super Bowl? Very different question. And I would say probably not, because he's not Matt Stafford. Yeah, they're both accurate, but just the throw that everybody's swooning over, speaking of swooning, the no-look pass to Cooper Kupp on that final drive. You think Kirk Cousins can do that?
No.
There's not a chance, right? So he's not, you know me, I'm president of Cousins Condos, to use another couple of C's there, but I thought his answer was very specific for a very specific reason. I do think he's fine coaching him if that's what it comes down to, but they are exploring all options, which is 100% what they should be, given that they're taking, as you said, a fresh new look at everything. And he's going to have time if he wants to do a rebuild, if he wants to go draft somebody, if he wants to try something new. They're not, even though the Wilfs want to win next year, they're not beholden to trying to win next year. They want to do something more.
Well, I thought he did a good job answering your questions, Dan.
It was good. It was a fun interview for sure. I got an email that I thought was very smart on the difference between Cousins and Stafford. And what he wrote was, he said that the floor with Cousins is probably higher, but the ceiling is not as high.
That's
and
fair.
I tend to think that's fair. I think Stafford can make more bad mistakes than Cousins tends to, but can Cousins make the kind of off-schedule plays or even the no-look kind of pass that Justin's referring to? The answer so far is no, and I just don't think you can manufacture that, given how many years he's been in the league.
Okay, moving on. Next up, a group of bipartisan state senators are proposing legislation to legalize sports betting here. The measure would allow gamblers to bet on pro teams at the state's horse racing tracks, tribal casinos, and online. This betting is currently legal in more than 30 states, including Wisconsin and Iowa. If approved, it would happen in the fall of 2023, Justin.
Well, not a moment too soon, and you just nailed it. Iowa's got it. Wisconsin has it as recently as this past fall.
That doesn't mean we have to follow them, does it?
Well, do we want to be literally last in everything as we try to move things forward?
Were we last in Sunday drinking?
Pretty close.
I think we were pretty close.
Pretty close, and I know that had some issues. We'll be last in marijuana, which whatever you feel about that, that's going that way, but we'll be last in it. It's time. I mean, when you're literally enveloped by gambling, South Dakota has it as well, and I know it gets complicated when it comes to the tribes and it comes to the casinos, and they should have a big say, and it sounds like they are. It sounds like they do, but it's high time that they do this when you've got people driving every weekend down to Diamond Joe's, and now they're on Highway 8 going to Turtle Lake. Like, it just makes good sense to try to figure this out, because everybody, I think, in the end can win. The public can win, the tribes can win, the state can win.
You can't wait to have that little app on your phone to win.
Well, and I'm not even a huge gambler, but I certainly understand what it could mean for all the parties involved.
Well, and, one of the, I think, the misconceptions here is as I understand it, there is nothing legally that prevents the state of Minnesota from going forward on this, even without the tribes involved.
I think that's right, yeah.
And let's be honest, that's more of a political issue than it is anything else.
Correct.
And we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it being political, whether you're talking about Republicans who basically feel like they got to toe a certain line, or in this case, DFLers who have to toe a certain line. Now, it appears that they have come up with the solution that will get them the votes. And practically speaking, that's what has to happen. But I think you're right. I think we're at a point where the genie's out of the bottle on this thing. The degree to which the sports leagues themselves, for better or for worse, we may regret it later, have tethered themselves to the whole betting concept. There's no point in attempting to stand in the way in this.
Guaranteed rate bowl, Gophers against West Virginia. Walking into Chase Field, I could have made a bet. I would have been fired because I'm not allowed to as a sideline reporter for the team. But walking into the stadium in Phoenix, Arizona, our country, I could have placed a bet on that game. Roll the boat.
Of course.
I could have retired with the bet I would have put.
Coming up next, you guys are going to talk about the Wild, the Wolves, and the Olympics.
In that order?
We'll be ready.
Welcome back to Enough Said. What did you guys think about the Super Bowl halftime show? Dre, Snoop, Mary, Kendrick, Eminem. I thought it was great. I needed more. Justin?
You wanted more? I loved it. We'll get the disclaimer out. Nothing can ever be as good as Prince, especially here in Minnesota.
Agree.
But I love this. I loved feeling nostalgic at our age, Lori. Like, we don't get to feel.
Me too. I was back in high school.
I know. We don't get to feel nostalgic very often. If that's what it's going to feel like for the rest of our lives, I'm good with it. I loved every second of it.
At what point did you cry? For me, it was Mary.
Almost immediately.
Dan, when did you cry?
Almost immediately.
I didn't miss up. What I want to know is it that you loved the performance, or you simply loved, and you have a right to, the people who were performing because they were so important to you?
Mainly the people.
Yeah, but I thought they did a good job. I thought they brought it. Good energy, good song selection. Yeah, I would have liked to see more. I would have liked to see more Eminem. That was my guy.
It was a fine show.
Actress Shailene Woodley and Aaron Rodgers reportedly called off their engagement. Sources say they were busy with their careers, which we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but I'm always thrown off when people give up the love of their life for their job, Dan.
Well,
Or are we sure they were the loves of each other's lives?
Well, that's another. Yeah, that's Lori. I mean, my theory is, and it's unconfirmed, I have nothing to back it on, maybe she's unhappy that
he can't win
Aaron
the big
didn't get the shot.
Yeah.
And he can't, like you said, can't get out of the play. Can't get to the Super Bowl.
No shot and no ring.
We're still waiting for confirmation. An incredible shot by a fan last weekend at St. Thomas's game against North Dakota State. Blindfolded. He made, let's see that video. He made the half-court shot, and he won. What did he win, Justin?
He won a St. Thomas basketball hat. A hat.
This is so confusing to me.
We need a little more than that, right?
St. Thomas, we hear about them every 15 seconds in the local newspapers. They're supposed to be the best and the richest and the most dynamic, and that's the best they can come up with?
And finally,
you can take the MIAC, the team out of the MIAC. You can't take the MIAC out of the team.
And just last week, one of our outtakes was me talking about how I want to go to brunch with Lindsay Whalen, the Gopher Head women's basketball coach.
You do want to?
I've said it once or twice. She hosted Enough Said once. Justin is helping make it happen. Listen to this.
Well, there's a Fox 9 family elephant in the room as it pertains to the other show I'm on, Enough Said, Friday nights, 9:30 with Dan Barreiro and Lori Fisher. You've
Emmy Award winning, right?
Emmy nominated. Yeah, Emmy nominated. We haven't won one yet.
One day. I would love to go to brunch. I never turn down, eggs, bacon, French toast, a latte, cappuccino. So I don't turn that down. It'll just have to be probably after the season because
we have video proof now that we are all going to brunch together, and I don't have to send Justin in and then I walk through the door. We're all going to go together.
I'm worried about how you're going to act, Lori.
Yeah, that's it. And now there needs to be a seating chart.
I will not fangirl out and embarrass you, I promise.
You say that, but at the moment
What are you going to order, Dan? Cereal?
I'm sort of like, no, actually, for that kind of meal, then I go big. And I go omelet, I go cheese omelet, bacon, the whole bit, latte. Just basically whatever she said, I endorsed every one of those.
Well, the update is we have the...
Sends it back for Spurgeon. Down low, Baldy! Save Nedeljkovic, rebound and score!
There we go, taking you back to Valentine's Day. Wild rookie Matt Boldy scoring a hat trick Monday night against the Red Wings. Welcome back to Enough Said. Justin, I think you were at that game.
I was at that game.
You may have seen that on social media for Valentine's Day.
Very romantic, yeah.
You don't wear, well, yeah, you do wear hats. Did you throw your ball cap on the ice?
I thought about it, actually. I turned to my wife and said, should I throw my hat? From where we were sitting, I don't think we could have gotten there. Yeah. We didn't
I was wondering about that. Like, do you really want to give up your hat? Or do you bring an extra hat in case there's a hat trick and then you throw that hat?
I think you can also get it
like
back.
Excessive planning.
I mean, they take them, they
I don't
throw
think
them
you're going to get it back.
Well, they throw them into garbage cans and skate them off the ice. I don't know if they donate them. I
think they donate them.
Okay, we need to find that out. A lot of stars on the team, they are now in second in the Central Division. Every other week we've been saying third, just behind the Avalanche. Dan.
Lori, I'm a little disappointed in you because
Why? Because I'm going the positive and not talking about how they lost the other night.
Well, yeah, you can't ignore it. I mean,
Doubled up
that
by
was
the
the
no,
most
I figured you
recent
guys
game.
could talk about that.
Of course, they're playing Friday night as well, which we're well aware of. Look, the only hesitation concern I have is, and I think we've talked about this a couple times before, and that is, as we have endorsed and celebrated the explosiveness of this team that we've never seen before here, the ability to score goals in bunches, 3 goals in 5 minutes, almost as if it's child's play, has occasionally been accompanied by getting a little bit too loose in the belief, I guess, that, well, now we can make things up, so if we're a little loose, no problem. Well, against better teams and against some teams, it's going to catch up with you. And that, to me, is, I guess, the cautionary tale, which I assume, well, we heard it from Evison. He's well aware of it. Too many main players, including Kaprizov, I think, going what is described as east-west. That's what you got to watch. As we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs, we got a ways to go, obviously. I think that's what you want to tighten up. And what we've tended to see, Justin, is a quick rebound from a game like that. And that's the key to this. As long as you rebound quickly, it's not going to be a big deal. No one's going to care about it at the end of the season, but you can't let it become a habit. Well,
they've never lost 3 consecutive games in regulation under Dean Evison. So it appears that they do know how to tighten things up when they need to. The last couple of weeks we've been complaining about how the national media has been ignoring the Minnesota Wild. We love to play the flyover country card. Really nice piece in ESPN, by the way, who just got the rights back this year, ESPN.com, about your Minnesota Wild. And in this, I want to run this quote by you. It's Guerin talking about Dean Evison. Doesn't use collaboration, doesn't use alignment. He says
none of the 5 C's?
No, it's a V.
Ooh.
Dean and I share the same vision.
That's
my
an old
vision.
School world.
It's
30 seconds.
And he doesn't beat you over the head with it. He just does it. The other word that he used about the philosophy is aggressive, which means how they play, but also how Billy Guerin is as a general manager. And you like to think now, a couple of weeks here before the trade deadline, or around the trade deadline where we are, that they maybe do swing. Because the other quote that Guerin said was, I don't want to take our fans for granted. People would say we're the state of hockey. It's a slam dunk. People are going to come. He says, they got a lot of hockey options. We have to be good. We have to do our part.
Enough said.
Well,
Guerin continues to say all the right
quick,
things.
Dan.
I will say quickly, I want them to be aggressive at the trade deadline. The people who say you don't want to mess with the chemistry, I believe enough in what's been established in that locker room, dare I say it, with a C word, culture,
yes,
that indeed it will handle somebody who might be a little bit different because they've established that. So, don't make a move to make a move.
Right.
But if it can help you, I don't worry so much about, well, is this going to change the chemistry? No, I have enough faith on the basis of what they seem to have put together there.
Chemistry, another C
count
word.
on that.
I like it.
Chemistry.
If you can get a better player who can help on the ice, get a better player.
The Timberwolves beat the Charlotte Hornets in OT on Tuesday, and by the looks of social media, fans are showing up just like D'Angelo Russell has been asking for.
Lori, gosh.
What happened on Wednesday? Do you have that in your notes?
They lost to Toronto on Wednesday. They're
Okay.
still above 500. They have a week off due to the All-Star break, but then it's several sets of back-to-back games. Do you think a little recharge will help keep them going, Dan?
I hope so, because we're fatigued. We've heard that a lot. We had an interesting back-to-back series of quotes. Cat's big game, which was the first of the back-to-back. Who was that again?
Charlotte.
He was
incredible.
Great finish.
Yep.
I mean, it was a really nice, gutty victory where they win a game where they weren't shooting very well, and Ant sat out the second half. But what did we hear? We hear if you want to call yourself a superstar, you got to play like one. And then the next night it doesn't go so well. And what does he say? We were fatigued. So I would say to him, a superstar also doesn't whine and concern himself about being tired. Everybody in every team is tired. And if you're a superstar, even if you are, to me, that's not the message you convey to your club at all. So, bully for him on wanting to be calling himself a superstar. But superstars don't talk publicly every 10 minutes about either fouls or fatigue. Those are the 2 F words, I guess, in the case of Karl Anthony Towns.
Well, on the week of Michael Jordan's birthday,
Yes, good point.
You can't go down that road.
No, you can't.
And by the way, he's probably 100% right. I'm sure they are tired.
No doubt.
They've expended a lot of energy getting themselves in this position, which is the best position they've been without Jimmy Butler in 20 years. It's been a wonderful season so far in terms of getting them where they want to go, fighting for that top 6 seed. I'm sure they're all spent. Nobody cares.
No.
NBA doesn't care. The other teams don't care. Fans don't care. They want to see more victories. You've gotten their antenna up. D'Lo playing maestro, which I know you're bitter with, but D'Lo playing maestro, getting the fans to eat out of the palm of his hand.
That won't last long.
Well, if he keeps shooting like that, it won't.
2 for
the
20,
shot that we just saw. But, yeah, I'm sure they are tired. But now
30
charge
seconds.
up in Cleveland. It's a blizzard there, it sounds like. So All-Star Weekend, you shouldn't be out too late. You shouldn't be doing anything
Shouldn't
stupid.
go if he's that tired.
You should be getting some rest and recover because every game from here on out is massive. They're in the 7th spot right now. You don't want to mess around with the one-game playoff, even though I think they could beat most of the teams that they're competing with to actually get in. You want to be established in that 6th spot, playing really well, so nobody cares that you're tired.
And you know who agrees with you? Patrick Beverly, who they just signed to a contract extension, a very good move for the club.
And
He's been everything they could have hoped, but he gets it. And if you listen to his comments, he doesn't scream them, but he basically says them. I got to get these guys to understand the long haul and how every game in the position we're in matters.
Chris Finch also shares that sentiment.
Okay, moving on. The Winter Olympics are coming to an end. A lot of big headlines this week. The U.S. women's hockey team was defeated by Canada for gold. The men's curling team didn't get that bronze. And Russia's 15-year-old figure skater at the center of the doping controversy, she dropped to 4th place. And some are even wondering, should she have even performed, Dan?
Well,
a lot of pressure.
It's coming off. First of all, I see in this case you couldn't avoid the negativity because, quite frankly,
where's the positivity for this whole Olympic run?
Yeah, that's true too for the U.S. Team, especially when it comes to hockey. Going back to Michaela Schifrin, who I think we talked previously about, the figure skating thing is just turned into a disaster. As I understand it, the Russian who finished first didn't even react.
Right.
She didn't even seem to care. The one who finished second was blubbering and saying, I hate figure skating.
Yep.
Everybody else has got a gold medal except me. And the woman who finishes 4th, who had flunked the test, whose name now escapes me.
Right, the 15-year-old.
The 15-year-old, she got ripped by her own coach basically saying, why'd you quit?
Immediately.
Almost immediately.
Coming off the ice.
Did you see the quote from a figure skater named Ashley Wagner? I'm sick to my stomach. They all look devastated.
Yep.
This just shows that these are children that are put in a position that is so wildly unhealthy and harmful to them. I don't know what the answer is. I don't have the cosmic answer. But this thing absolutely looked like it needs some kind of readjustment because it was the finish of it, between the drug test being ignored and the sort of drama, the mini drama that took place on the with the results. It's like, does this sport need some kind of a reboot at this point? Because it's an awful look.
Well, and it's not just figure skating. I mean, the U.S. gymnastics deal is separate.
It's connected, you could argue.
But it's connected because of the structure that is built and the pressure that is put on the athletes. And we go all the way back to the first block, Dan, talking about how cultures change and how things are different. We've talked about it in football. It did used to be, the tough Eastern Europeans, the tough this, the tough that. You put kids away, basically, make them train for their entire lives just for that moment. It breaks people. I think we're learning that.
And in these sports, these are children.
Yes.
That's what I think distinguishes these sports from many of the others.
Exactly right. And you're on a pedestal at a young age, pressure-packed situations. It's interesting. A lot of the Americans who didn't really do that well seemed like the healthiest of the bunch. Said, it was a great experience, had fun, soak it all in. But that does have to be looked at, and what you do to children in the effort to make a champion. It's very difficult.
So coming up next, we're going to talk about the halftime show, the Super Bowl halftime show. Did we like it? And who we are going on a brunch date with.
This is big.
And it is not Kevin O'Connell.
Not yet.
She's going to blow it.